Some of you might have played Rune Wars back when it was a bigger thing, and you've got some models laying around that don't currently fit Warlords of Erehwon. We're going to take a look at one today, the first one. Stick around and we'll see how to turn it into a Warlords of Erehwon unit. Alright, now the first unit we're going to look at today, we got basically three units we're going to cover, 3 different videos. This one, there's a model set that came out. It's actually Prince, I believe it's called Faolan, that's his name. And he comes with 2 models in his kit. And today we're going to look at both of them. And it's interesting because, obviously, there's nothing in the Elven list to handle a character like this riding a monster, right? The same with the next video we're going to do. The other thing is that as his model on foot is built or sculpted, it doesn't match any of the current Elven entries. So today we're going to break down how to take the Rune War models that basically represent Prince Faolan and make them Elven units for Warlords of Erehwon. Let's go down to the table and take a look. Alright, these 2 models that look really, really cool. And I tried as hard as I could to take kind of what was in the lore and in the cards for the Rune Wars game and use them to kind of create the units themselves, you know, the different 2 units here. Hopefully I've done a good job. But anyway, so what we got is the opportunity to do a single character and then his character modeled on a beast, a monster, a monstrosity. So let's go ahead and start with him, since that's the base, and then we'll see how you take his stats and apply it to a mount to create this thing on a monstrosity. Alright, so he's a cool fig. He has this great whopping Khopesh looking thing. But I mean it's more than 2 hands. This is huge. Reminds me of some I think it's Naginata. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. Oriental weapon looks like a sword mounted on a long shaft. That's kind of what this reminds me of. So I called it an Elven glaive just to come up with something. But he also has a pair of daggers on the back. Daggers don't really buy you much in Erehwon, considering the way I made this weapon. So it's just aesthetics. Now, given that he's got all that ornate armor, it is definitely spangly. So he's got spangly armor. So now, here are the stats. Now, he is a warlord unit. I'm not putting any of the rangers out there. I'm giving him rangers as his bodyguards, okay? So whatever models you use for your rangers, go for it. So just pretend they're there. With the Prince Faolan, I tried to use some of the Rune Wars information that I, from the lore that I could tell, or the stats on the cards. I tried to use those to inspire the model and what it can do. So let's just start at the base. As I said, he has an sorry, didn't call it an Elven glaive. I called it an Elven Khopesh. Okay, because the Elven Khopesh has plenty of oomph. We'll get into the stats of that in a second. So, when you look at he's a basic Elven Lord with just the weapon and the armor. But I gave him an agility of 7 because I felt that was more in line with the Rangers, okay? Now, given that he doesn't use ranged weapons, I just left his accuracy at 6, which is normal Elven level. Of course, his rangers are going to be normal 7, right? Now, his strength, just like an elf, is 5 res, but his spangly armor making 8. Initiative 8, command 9, which is interesting because the Elven Rangers also have the command 9. Because the Elven Rangers are his bodyguard, I gave him Woodsman, just like they have in their unit entry. But I also automatically gave him Haughty Disdain. just because he looks like he should have haughty disdain. So he already counts. Now, because Prince Faolan is a named character, I'm going to treat him as such. He's not just another Elven Lord. So he has some upgrades already, and really you can't do any other upgrades except adding a couple bodyguards. So he already has Command and Follow, of course. He already has Tough 2 and Wound 2, and he has his 3 hand-to-hand attacks. Now, when we look at the actual Elven Khopesh, the Elven Khopesh has a strength value of 2. It does not have a strength bonus. It's just a little less than a halberd, but a little better than a spear. And I guess it's kind of like one of the two-handed weapons. It would be kind of equivalent to your huge sword, which it kind of is, right? That's how I kind of inspired that. But I called it Elven Khopesh just to make it unit specific. The key here with him is he's going to get around the table hopefully quickly with his Elven Rangers, not worrying about forests, and he'll automatically make the agility test and move full speed through there. He's got his 3 hand-to-hand attacks. His Ranger bodyguards have longbows, so there's 2 to 4 longbow shots up to 30 inches. So he's got some good abilities. And since he is a Warlord character, he does have a limitation in that you can only have a maximum of 1 Warlord, right? So it's either going to be your regular Lords, your Mounted Lord, Elven Lord, your Elven Lord Chariot, or him, or one of them I'll be talking about next week, or next time. Or even this Moonshade, which I covered before. So he is a unique model for your warband. You can't have him and a Lord. So that's kind of how it plays out. So I think he's a pretty good model the way he is. I will probably end up using him that way most of the time I use him. But you know what? It's a lot of fun to make him a little bit more powerful. So let's look at what he looks like on his special pet. Alright, so when you have a character riding a mount of some sort of beast, you end up with this kind of a split stat line like this. And you'll notice there are brackets in certain places. The brackets are the particular values you ignore. Okay, now normally in the list the command and initiative would not even be printed, but because it's just for my own personal kind of note taking and visual just reference, I left them in there. I just put brackets around them so that I could see what I was thinking. So as far as bracketed entries, you won't use Prince Faolan's agility or his res until you've killed his mount. That's part of the rules of using monstrosities and stuff. Kind of like a chariot. When the mount goes down, the hero remains with 1 wound left, dismounted, so he's on his feet. Which you just go back and use your the model we just previously covered. Now his res is 5/8 because he won't be using it until he's dismounted, so it just goes back to his base. He has all the same abilities he did before, nothing changes, but because he's riding a Dracolisk, I had to figure out kind of what to give him. I figured the stat lines, you got a cockatrice, you got a basilisk. It's bird looking, but it's velociraptor looking. It fits in, and I kind of went with kind of a hybrid. So I decided that I would go with the basilisk for some of it and the cockatrice for other parts. So I started with the basilisk stats. That's why it's except for the agility part, because he's on 2 feet. We got this whole woodland theme going. I gave him the kind of a boost to a 6 agility. His home world. He is a comfortable in the forest, so he shouldn't have any issues with make an agility test to get through the forest. Of course, Faolan won't matter because he's going to be on foot when it happens. A 6 is low. You know, with a 6 agility, he'll be more likely to move through forest easily, but he is a big beast, so I didn't want to let the woodsman apply to him. Woodsman really only applies to Faolan when he's on the ground. When I look at the rest of the lines, I mean, it made sense to keep his strength lower. You know, Cockatrice is 7, Basilisk is 6. I didn't want to go crazy with this. And the other Dragon Riders I've got are only strength 6, so I said, okay, strength 6, that works. Res 10, that's a typical monstrous creature kind of a thing. And I left the initiative and command stats there just visible so I knew what I was thinking. But those aren't really used. You use the initiative and command of Prince Faolan himself. But look at the rest of the abilities. He is obviously large, so not going to be a good thing arrows shooting at him. He's going to take damage more readily. He does have 2 order dice, though. Now, as far as the attacks go, I gave him only 3, not the 5 that normally would come to a Basilisk or Cockatrice. Figured he's a mount. He won't be as agile and fighting with everything he has because he's letting the rider do the work and letting the rider, Prince Faolan, tell him what to do. So I just let him, okay, we'll just do 3 attacks. That's figure 3 bites and clawing kind of thing. But only gave him a strike value 3, kind of like the Cockatrice has. That, to me, worked out. Now, I gave it Beastly Breath because I didn't really like the Baleful Glare idea of just giving pins all over. I was looking more along the lines of what a Basilisk or Cockatrice would do. Basilisk, again, the stories kind of dissolve into each other at times. They would either turn you to stone or they would outright kill you, just the breath kill you. So I figured, okay, it should do damage. So instead of doing Baleful Glare, let's do Beastly Breath. And that, I think, is the best approach, because when you look at Beastly Breath and what it actually does, it's a 20-inch range attack, but of course it has a short range of 0 to 10, long range 10 to 20. It has a strike value, and it does D6 attacks with the special ability choking. So, you know, you're doing strike value and damaging the units instead of just putting pins on them. I think that's more in the spirit. So you've got guys dropping dead or turning into stone when this thing, quote, looks at them. But again, since it's a ranged attack, that accuracy of 4 kind of limits the number of shots or hits. Okay, so but at least it's a good place to start. So it's not. Oh, I don't think it's overpowered. It should play out really, really well. So of course he has dread because Cockatrice and Basilisk. In fact, most of the monster creatures have dread, which makes sense. They're monsters, and they're kind of scary. So as a unit, he has a lot of ability to hit. He has no followers in this case, so his point value is adjusted so that you don't have any followers. That's one of the things that's important about characters on monsters, is they don't have any followers. So he's pretty expensive, but most of these combinations are. But he can do pretty good damage when it comes to, you know, in close combat. He gets 2 rounds of it basically because he's got 2 order dice. So he can chunk through a lot. Besides having the monster itself do its 3 strike value 3 attacks, he's got his own 3 strike value 2 attacks. That's 6 attacks going in. Yeah, it's pretty mean. So I think it gives him a good presence on the battlefield and gives you something to worry about. I do like that. Now, it comes with this fancy base. I play with him like this. This is just for display purposes. Alright, so hope this gives you an idea of how you can take 2 models from the Rune Wars kits and make them into a character and character on a monster kind of unit. This will take your unit design to a whole new level and hopefully open up some other ideas in your mind, your imagination, for other possibilities. So, share, like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.